Alright, what's going on guys? Today we're going to be doing a video on my shooting range aim trainer. I know I released a video on this about a year ago, but there's a lot of new features and modes that I want to show you guys, so we're going to be making a new video. So let's get right into it. Alright, so to access the map, you guys want to put in this map code, or you can also type in shooting range and it'll pop up as well, or it'll be down in the description for you to copy and paste if you're on PC. And it should be this first one right here that pops up. Alright, so as soon as you guys enter the map, you will see all of these weapons here available for you to practice with. And if you like to use the same loadout across different sessions, you can just click this save loadout button, and every time you join the map, it'll have that same exact loadout. Alright, so once you have your loadout ready, there is different options. So we got a standard range, we got ranges 2 through 4 here. Then we also have a free play section and a PvP area, so you can fight with other players as well. By the way, this map is up to 4 players, so you guys can invite your friends. And you guys can either practice together or you can go against each other in the PvP area and the simulation area. But anyways, starting off with the standard range, this is going to be what it looks like by default. Then if you look behind you, there's a huge settings board here that you guys can use to fully customize your experience. And here's just a quick overview of all the settings that you can customize. So we're going to start off with the target style. You can actually choose this option and it'll make the targets be more kind of like a Kovac style. Then we also have instant reload, so you don't got to worry about reloading. Obstacles, which adds obstacles to the map that the players can either hide behind or run up onto. You can choose the distance, so there's a close, mid, and far range, up to 100 meters. And if you want to track your stats and test yourself, there's also a 30 and 60-second timer that you guys can use. And there's also a first-person camera. This is going to work best with the ballistic weapons. And if these targets are a little too easy for you, then this is why we have these settings on the left here. So you can customize gliders, you can turn on the gliders. Pretty self-explanatory, they'll just shoot up into the air and start gliding down. Now the strafe platform, I would highly recommend you do this if you're already pretty good at aiming. This will increase the difficulty by a lot because this platform will randomly move left to right and will also pause at random times. Because obviously in a real game, your movement or your player's movement is not going to be as predictable, so this is definitely a good way to make it a little bit more realistic. Now next is Icy Feet. Now I personally really like this one because it makes it so the bots are constantly moving. As you can see, as soon as we turn that setting on, it just seems like they move a whole lot more than before. Then we got Bounce, another self-explanatory one. It'll just start bouncing the bots around, making them a little bit harder to hit as well. Then we also got movement speed. You can make it static so the targets don't move at all. This could be used for more mid to far range distances. That way you can practice the bullet drop off with snipers, for example. Or you could use this running man icon, which will make the bots move a little bit quicker as well. And by utilizing all of these settings and combining them in different ways, you can probably create over 100 different scenarios, which is crazy. And if you can't decide on any of these settings, you can easily just click the random settings button and it'll generate a whole scenario for you. And to put everything back to default, you can easily just press the reset settings button. Alright, so moving on to the 360 range. This is going to utilize all of these same exact settings that I just showcased. However, the only difference is that instead of distance, we have height. So just to show you guys, I'm going to hit the random settings button so I can quickly generate a scenario for me. Alright, so even though this range shares the same exact settings as the previous one I just showed you, you can see it's a whole lot different because you have enemies coming from every single direction. Alright, so moving on to the next one over here, across from it we have the recoil section. And I don't think I really need a long explanation on this. You can just customize the distance so you can move it further away. Now the best way I find to practice on this is to try to consistently hit as much headshots as you can with whatever weapon you're using. Alright, so moving on to simulation, this is the latest addition to the map. Now this is going to be a little bit more ballistic focused, so that's why I have all the ballistic weapons here that you can use. But you guys can feel free and use any weapon you would like in this area. It is not required to use the ballistic weapons. So in this area, I basically created this mini styled ballistic map. There's tons of different elevation changes, obstacles, lines of sights that you guys can practice with. Alright, so just like the other ones, we have a settings board. However, there are a few differences, so let's go over the new ones. So health regen is going to be on by default. However, if you do turn this off, that means whenever you kill the bots, you will not get siphoned. So the main reason you would turn this setting off is to challenge yourself. So for example, you guys can go and see how many bots you can kill at once before you die. And if you just want to practice on your aim without worrying about the bots shooting at you, you can turn off their weapons. Then you can increase the amount of targets that you want in the simulation, and this will max out at about 10 targets. And let me just show you guys real quick how chaotic you can get with 10 targets. Yeah, so after all that, I'm literally on 1 health. And by the way, in this section, you can go against your friends by using the team selector. Just make sure you're on a different team as your friends and you guys can go against them. And just to add some variety and make it a little bit funner to practice, there's also little game modes such as gun game. But just keep in mind that turning this on will reset your loadout. And I'm sure most of you guys already know what gun game is. Every time you get a kill, it's going to swap your weapon out for a different one. By the way, I am not a keyboard and mouse player, so I have no idea how I just pulled that off. Alright, so the other game mode apart from gun game is going to be blitz mode. So if you guys are familiar with Call of Duty, this is similar to Cranked, where you have a certain amount of time to kill the next opponent, and if you don't and the timer runs down, then you guys will be eliminated. Now obviously with the more targets that you have on the map, this is going to be a little bit easier, so I wouldn't recommend putting too many targets if you are going to use this mode. Alright, so after that, we have the free play section, and here you can just pretty much do whatever you want. It's just kind of like a sandbox mode. You guys gonna go ahead and practice your edits. You can also customize the amount of bots that are in here. Alright, so if I go to the settings board, it'll be similar to the simulation one as well, where we have the health regen and the enemy weapons. I am also lagging, I can't move. But anyways, the only difference is that there is a build reset option, so you can set it to never, every 60 seconds, or after every kill. I just got beamed by someone. Keep in mind, I've been playing more zero build lately, so my builds might be a little rusty. And finally, we have the PvP zone. Now this is just a huge open area where you can practice quite literally anything that you want. There's a whole lot of utility and movement items that you guys can practice with, including everything that is currently in the loot pool. Now for the settings, you can turn on zero build, which will give you overshield and prevent anyone from building. This will also give the bots an extra 50 shield as well. And if you're just playing solo, don't worry, you can just turn on these enemies. And you can also turn off all these obstacles and trees if you would like with this button. Now it's currently not working. I will fix this very soon though. And if you want it to be a little more realistic, you can turn off the ammo and just pick up ammo from here. And there is also a team selector, so make sure every time you run into this area, you are in a different team as your friends. And yeah, from here, you pretty much just mess around. You can use these cars as well if you want to practice like car fights and stuff like that. I personally really love to use this area every time there's a new update. That way I can kind of test out all the new items. So for example, I found out that by shooting the hop rock and then using this new exotic shockwave launcher, and as long as you keep shooting the hop rock, you'll get some crazy distance on this. And some other small features in this map include a rank system. So if you guys do hits on real, you guys can DM me on any social media. Just send me a picture and your username and I can get you added. There's also a challenge board here that you guys can do, and if you complete these, you'll get XP. If you want a bit more of a satisfying experience, you can just easily switch out the target sounds so that these will play whenever you eliminate a target. Yeah, so like the whole point of this map was so that you guys can use all of these settings that I provide you, and you guys can create your own training routines using those settings. So think of it as your own creative playground where you guys can practice however you like. But yeah, with that being said, hopefully you guys enjoyed the map, and I'll see you guys later.